Ending your day productively isn't about squeezing in every last piece of item into your day. It's not about how to get more stuff in your day, but it's about stopping at the end of the day to reflect and to process. Yesterday, we talked about how to set up systems and the importance of systems in our lives. Today, we're talking about an equally important idea, and that is how we end the day. It allows you to think about what's going on today and to set yourself up for success the next day by reflecting, reviewing. When we reflect on that day, it calms us, it gives us the opportunity to see where things have been and to be able to do what we need to do today to be ready for tomorrow. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. I'm so excited that you're here to join me for my 100-day walk to consistency. We are on day number 42. Glad that you're here. Remember, we're setting ourselves up for success. We are building a better, more resilient version of ourselves. And each day we're putting in a new piece of the puzzle to be able to enjoy and to be able to move to the next level. Hey, we'll see you on the walk. All right, so today we're talking about how do we end the day. And ending the day sometimes feels like it's a mad rush, right? So we get to the end of the day and realize that, oh my God, I've got to get into bed. I've got to go to sleep. But there's all this stuff that still is on my plate. And so we try to work all the way up until we are totally exhausted and we can't do anything else. And so we fall out in bed just to wake up tomorrow and go back at it. I can't tell you the number of times that I myself personally have found myself sleeping at my desk. In fact, there was a time when I was doing a video that I was shooting for my show, and it was one of those recorded videos that I was going to post. And I'm sitting in the chair and facing the camera, and then I woke up and I looked back to see that for several minutes now I've been sleeping and my head is nodding and I'm bucking. Have you ever been in a place where you were trying to do something and you just couldn't process it because you were so tired, and you kept trying until you finally fell asleep? And that's what we do a lot of times. We will continue working up until we are completely exhausted, and then we'll pass out in bed. That does not set us up for success. What it really does is it makes life seem like it's just a constant drone, that we're always on that wheel that's going around and around and around, and we never seem to get ahead. Just today, I was actually talking to someone in the office, and I was telling them that we have to allow ourselves to decompress, to relax, if you will, and be gentle with ourselves. And so one of the benefits of ending the day well is that you're able to do that. One of the things I talk about all the time is what I call bookending. And bookending is my idea that at the beginning of the day, you start off with a routine and then you end the day with a routine as well. And so basically we're starting off with the plan for the day, and then we're ending the day by looking back and seeing what has been done and what are the things that we still have that are outstanding, and how do we incorporate that into our into the rest of the day. Okay, so that's the idea that I want to discuss about ending the day properly. When we wind down, it isn't also about putting more stuff in, right? Sometimes we think, okay, if I'm winding down, this is just about getting those last pieces of information, getting those last tasks, that last piece of data into my schedule, but that's not what it is at all. But we'll talk about that here in just a moment. When you adopt a structured way of ending your day, once again, as you've heard me say, we sometimes don't succeed, not because we don't have vision or we don't have plans or we don't have a desire. We don't succeed because we don't have structure we don't have a process that we are going through. Okay, and so having a way of ending your day allows you to develop that structure so that now you don't have to worry about what is going to look like. So what are the benefits? What are the benefits of having a structure at the end of the day? One, it gives you peace of mind. That's right, it gives you peace of mind. When you have structure, when you know that at the end of the day, I'm going to sit and I'm going to evaluate the things that I'm doing, I don't have to worry about what the day is going to look like at the end. I know there's a time when I get to sit down and I get to relax and I get to look back over the day. So there's some peace of mind that there's going to be some conclusion, some way of ending the day. Number two, it makes you more efficient because I have a way of evaluating what's going on for that day. And as I'm evaluating, right, so we're not going to do evaluation here, but as I'm evaluating, there's a process that I'm going to use to evaluate how the day went. And I am going to be setting up a process for tomorrow. So I'm looking back to today. There's nothing that's going to be missed. And I become more efficient because I'm evaluating what I did and I'm looking for tomorrow to say, okay, what are the tasks that I need? And my brain begins working to say, okay, what am I going to have to put in place for tomorrow? Okay? So efficiency. The other thing that it does at the end of the day, if we do it well, it allows us to sleep better. Oh, that's a good one. How does that happen? Well, in order to remember things, the brain continually rehearses it over and over and over and over again, so that those items that are on your list, those items that you have to think about, the brain continues rehearsing it. And when do you think it rehearses it? That's right, while you're sleeping. And so all night your brain is rehearsing that because it has to remember it. But when you have a process at the end of the day, when you're winding down, when you are writing things down, as in journaling, then once it's out of your brain, it's on that piece of paper, the brain no longer has to remember it. And so it is free now to rest, it's free to sleep, it's free to go into those deep areas of sleep that we've talked about, where we get that restorative sleep for the body. So when we are ending the day well, then it allows us to sleep better. It also allows us to be organized because, once again, there is structure to the end of the day. And you will have to figure out for what you do, what are some of the questions that you're going to ask yourself at the end of the day. What does your end of the day plan look like? Right? We will do a show at some point about bookending and some of those things. But what does your type of business, what does your life, what does your work require you to evaluate? And what you're doing is you are evaluating those at the end of the day. So there's structure there, okay? And it allows us to be consistent, right? That's what we're talking about, consistency. So putting that in place at the end of your day, it allows you to know that, okay, there is something that I've got to do. And you're more likely to do it if it is something that is scheduled, that is just a part of your day, right? Remember, consistency builds confidence, confidence builds competence, and competence builds consistency, and consistency builds, right? So you go back and forth, around and round and round that circle. So those are some of the benefits of having a structured, having something at the end of the day that you're going to do. So better sleep. It creates some mental clarity as well. Okay, so when you are at the end of the day sitting down and you're evaluating, then you are quite clear about what you did that day and what is still outstanding. So there's no ambiguity, there's no blurriness, there's no, okay, I'm not really sure what I'm doing. So there's clarity, particularly if you have done a good job of those SMART goals. Remember we talked about those? If you've done your SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound, then when you are ending your day and you're looking at all these things, then you know that I'm able, that I'm clear in what I'm doing, right? So this is what I said I was going to do. This is where I am. And then I can evaluate that objectively and not just, okay, well, I think things went well without actually knowing, okay? It supports your long-term goals. So if we're going to be successful, if we're going to be consistently successful, then we have to be consistent. And so setting up a structure at the end of your day allows you to have long-term success and allows you to have support for your long-term goals, because evening routines allow you to evaluate what's been going on. Do I need to pivot? Do I need to change? Are there more resources that I need to allocate? Are there other people that I need to contact? Right? So think about that. When you're in this process, he's like, oh man, I think I need to contact John. So tomorrow, I don't have to realize that now at 10, 11 o'clock during the day and then try to reach out to John. But in the morning, because I've said last night that I need to do that, in the morning, the first thing, whatever your routine is, I send an email, I send a text, I give a call. And that gets started sooner in the day rather than later on, okay? So what are some common mistakes that people make as it relates to their end of day routine? Well, one we've talked about, right? And this is probably the most prominent, most prevalent one. And that is feeling that we have to jam every single piece of additional work into that end of day routine. That, man, this is my time to catch up. If I didn't get it done for the rest of the day, I've got to get it in here. And so within these next 15, 20 minutes, whatever time you've allocated, I'm going to just jam pack as much as I can into this period and get going, okay? So that's one of the common mistakes, feeling like we've got to get everything done that we've not accomplished during the day, during the period that is our end of day routine. So overloading your evening routine. The other thing is ignoring sleep hygiene. So sleep hygiene says that there is a time when I'm going to go to sleep. There's a consistent time. I'm going to avoid screens. I'm going to make sure that my room is dark. I'm going to make sure that I am not being disturbed by the phone, by people calling, by texts. I'm going to make sure that I don't become so overwhelmed that my brain is kind of going all the time, okay? So we establish a routine, but then we ignore sleep hygiene because we're on the computer in the routine up until it's time to go. We're on answering emails, we're looking at our phone, we're scrolling because, hey, I did my end of day routine and now this is my relaxing time, right? We use that phrase. This is my relaxing time that I can use as I try to fall asleep. So ignoring sleep hygiene is one that happens. And then skipping the reflection. So a big part of the routine at the end of the day is to reflect. And so often we'll have, we'll look at the to-do list, we'll look at the projects that we've done, we'll look at what's outstanding, but we won't reflect on how the day went. We won't reflect on what are some of the benefits. We won't reflect on things that we're grateful for, what was successful, what do I need to pivot, what do I need to change, do I need a longer lunch, do I need a shorter lunch, do I need to use a different piece of software. Okay, so remember, the reflecting part is perhaps the most beneficial in this whole process, because the reflecting is where you get to look at the day and you get to process how to make tomorrow better. It's not just about checking off the boxes for today. It's also about, how do I make tomorrow better? How do I continue to grow and set myself up to be successful, consistent, be more confident? And if we're not reflecting, then we miss all of those opportunities. So those are some of the mistakes that people make as we are looking at routines. The question then becomes, how do we set up a routine? What does a routine look like? And I want to go through and talk about a simple process before we get to our challenge on how you set up a routine. As I mentioned before, the first thing is to make sure that you understand all the things that are required for your particular industry, for your particular job, for your particular goals. If we don't know the benefits, if we don't know where we're heading, then our likelihood of getting there goes down. Okay? So as part of your evaluation, understand where you are, understand what your life entails, understand what your industry entails, understand what your job entails. What are some of your health goals? All right, and here we've been talking about health. So what is my health goal? And what do I need to do in my evaluation, in my end of day process, to make sure that I'm setting myself up for the biggest chance of success? Okay, so understanding what your goals are. And number one, reflect on the day. So we're talking now, grab your journal out, and let's go through and let's create an outline for what your end of the day routine may look like. All right, so number one, reflect on the day. All right, spend 5 to 10 minutes where you're looking back at the day, reviewing your accomplishments, reviewing the challenges, looking to see, did I go walking like I said I was going to go walk? And if I didn't go walking, what caused me not to walk? Okay, maybe I woke up late. Well, if I woke up late, what caused me to wake up late? Well, I didn't go to bed on time. If I didn't go to bed on time, why didn't I go to bed on time? Oh, because last night I skipped my end of the day, process, right? So notice that what we're doing is we are working our way into solutions for all these items. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing. So number one, reflect on the day. Spend 5 to 10 minutes kind of looking at that. So write down 1 to 3 wins for the day, and then what was a challenge that you had? What lessons did you learn? Right? Whenever I start my my coaching groups or my coaching sessions with patients and clients, the first thing that I want them to do is I want them to give, let this car go by, I want them to give a win that they've had. Because think about our inner coach and our inner critic. We are so adept at supplying the critic with information. The critic remembers all the things that we do, all the things that we did wrong. Oh yeah, the critic is there. But we tend to not be able to support the inner coach. That's that part of us that gives us support, that roots for us, that encourages us. And so the first thing we want to do always is provide some data for that inner coach. So what is a win that you've had? Okay, so number one, we're going to research our industry, our lives. What are some things that we need to make sure we include? And then once we do that, the second thing is we're going to reflect. As we're doing the end of the day, we're going to reflect for 5 to 10 minutes, write down a couple of successes that we've had and lessons that we've learned. Next, we're going to start planning for tomorrow. Okay? So the success for tomorrow doesn't start tomorrow. The success for tomorrow actually starts today. So outline your steps. What are your top 3 priorities? What are, we've done prioritization. We've talked about that. So what are some of your priorities? What are the top 3 priorities that you have for tomorrow? Right? So write those down so that they're front and center. So review your schedule and prepare tasks. So if your priority, one of your priorities is to walk, okay, now you got to figure out, how do I walk? How do I make sure that that thing that I said is on my priority list happens? If I said that I'm going to eat well, okay, what am I going to do? How do I do that? And we see some guys, there's a fire truck. Fire truck going by. And some cars. Right? So what are those things on a priority list? And then we're gonna have to figure out how do we get that, right? To review the schedule, prepare key tasks. What are the key tasks that I need to do so that I can successfully accomplish what I say is on my priority list? So once again, it's not just, okay, 1, 2, 3 things. Well, okay, I got to start processing. Okay, how do I achieve those tomorrow? Okay. Now, you're not going to come up with all of that in this session, but you're going to be thinking about it. It's going to be on your list, and then you may jot down some things that you need to do to be successful. Okay. The next thing you want to do is you want to create a wind down routine, right? Wind down routine. And that's incorporating some calming activities, whether you're meditating, whether you are doing yoga, any of those activities that begins to calm you. Right? Some people during this time may sit and drink some hot herbal tea that calms them, right? And actually gets them relaxed and maybe makes them a little sleepy so they can fall asleep easier. Okay, some calming routines. Reading, stretching, journaling, meditation. Those are all things you can do that will aid in your calming wind down routine. Okay, wind down routine. So you're building that into this process. And then you want to limit stimulation and screen time. So one of the things that we used to do in my family is my wife and I had a kind of a meeting at the end of each day, and it was a connection time, and then at one time we started talking not just about connection, we also started talking about business and started talking about all this other stuff. And it really wasn't it wasn't designed for end of the day, because all of a sudden we're being stimulated, right? Because we were trying to make decisions, we're trying to make plans. We had that time where we were talking about, relational issues, and sometimes that's not the best time to talk about relational issues at the end of the day, because then you can't sleep. So as you are thinking through the process, you want to make sure that you are not becoming overly stimulated during this time. A major way that we all get stimulated now is by that device that we have in our pocket, or in our pocketbook, or in our coat pocket, wherever on the desk, is that social media, that phone, those emails. Do you know how insidious that can be? Yeah, because we say, okay, we're just going to deal with this one email. I just need to answer that one email. I'm going to take a look at it. And then all of a sudden, that email leads to another. And then we got to go look something up. And when we look that up, then we find something else that we didn't look at, that we didn't deal with. And it just cascades. So that is not a good way to end the day, by scrolling. Trust me. I can't tell you the number of hours that I've wasted in scrolling. And we do that because we think, like I said, that it's going to be a calming thing, but it turns out to not really be that calming. So avoid that kind of stimulation before you go to bed. And then you want to establish some parameters with family and friends. So, hey, if we're going to talk, we need to talk at an earlier time so that I'm not trying to do that or waiting for a call or getting caught up in social media or answering text at a particular time. So when is going to be your wind down time? What's going to be your time? Not wind down, but what's going to be your limiting time when you're going to say to people, yeah, I'd love to talk with you, but we're going to have to deal with that tomorrow. Okay? And give them an understanding. So it's not that I don't want to talk to you. In fact, if there is a reason for us to talk, if there's an emergency, I want you to understand that I'm here. Okay? I'm fully available to deal with any emergencies. But if there's something that can wait till tomorrow, let's plan to do that so that they know that you're open and that you're willing to do what you have to do in a time when there's need. But other than that, yeah, let's try to deal with that tomorrow. Okay? So you want to limit that. And then you want to express gratitude. So at the end of all of this, what I recommend is once you've gone through that outline that we just gave, is that you sit and at the bottom of your journal, leave 2 lines and say, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful that I got to the end of today. I'm grateful that I accomplished these things on my list. I'm grateful that I have good health. I'm grateful that I was able to go to work today. I'm grateful, and just begin pouring out those gratitude statements. Okay? You will probably find, once you start doing this, there is so much that you can be grateful for that you can't even write all of that on those lines I told you to save. You're going to need a whole new paper and a whole new page to begin writing that down. And that's not going to be enough. Okay? So gratitude builds confidence. Gratitude builds resilience. Gratitude builds self-confidence. And gratitude leads to success. So at the end of your process there, go ahead and begin writing your gratitude statements. What are you grateful for? All right? Now, this is actually one of my favorite conversations. Do I say that for everything? I think I probably do. It's one of my favorite conversations because it is a place that I think I struggle the most. It is probably the one, if I think about my schedule, think about my days, think about the things that I can do to improve my life and set myself up for success. This is probably where life seems to always have something that disrupts this. And it could be something as simple or as needed as, my son has a project that he's got to do that's due tomorrow. Or my wife has something that she needs me to help her with. Or something that is a real emergency, right? That happens. But a lot of times I find that I'm fighting all the things that go on in life to be able to maintain this. So I want you to guard this like it is that your life depends on it, because it really does. Your success depends on this. Your health depends on this. Because if we're able to establish this end of day, then we get to orient our lives. We get to orient our day. We get to orient tomorrow. We get to plan for what am I going to do to make sure I'm taking charge of my health. Because we're talking about consistency. We're talking about consistency, which can be done in any area. Any of the things that we talk about, you can apply it to multiple domains. Here specifically, we're talking about health. how do I maintain consistency when it comes to my health? And having this end of day routine is amazing. And so that's why it's one of my favorite, because I'm challenged here, but I am so well aware that structure is the key to all that we do. We gotta have structure, and doing this gives us the biggest chance for structure. All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk about our challenge for today. Well, you already have your journal out, okay? Because you've been writing, you've been taking notes. Now, I guess let me say it this way. I had someone say to me recently, they said, well, you keep telling us to write, but we're walking, we're rowing, we're doing all kinds of other things. And you are correct. So maybe you continue, you watch this, but then you go back and you pull out your journal, and then you begin doing you've been working on the challenge. So the challenge is this. Number one, we want to design a 3-step evening routine. Just 3-step evening routine, okay? Number one, we want to include activities for reflection, preparation, and relaxation. So that is looking at my day and saying, how did the day go? What were the wins? What do I need to adjust for tomorrow? And what do I need to put on my schedule? What are the top 3 priorities? Just like we did before, okay? Number 2, you want to set aside some time before bed to follow this routine. So we've created the routine, and now we have some time that we're setting aside right before bed that we're going to implement the routine. Okay, so find a time that's consistent as possible, right? Because for a lot of us, we have children, or we have spouses, or we have family members, and they have different activities. Like my son has basketball, he has robotics, he has piano, he has games that he wants to go to with his friends, right? So those can change the times when we're doing this, but as much as possible, we want to make sure that we are that we're looking and we are doing a consistent time. Okay, so that's it. So set aside time, and then now that you have an evening routine that includes your energy focus, right? Impacts your energy focus. You want to begin implementing it. So energy focus means that there are ebbs and flows in our energy. And so if you know that after 9 o'clock, you are just done, then don't put your end of day routine at 9 o'clock or after 9, right? You want to do this early where you still are fresh. Remember we did an episode where we talked about us identifying our energy flows, our peaks and our dips, right? So you don't want to do this activity when your energy is dipped or your energy is gone. You want to do this where you have still some energy to begin looking at and using some brain power. Okay, this is not one of those mindless activities that I want you to do, because it is so important, because it helps us set up for success going forward. Okay, so once again, the challenge is to get your journal, write it out. You want to include activities for reflection, activities for preparation and relaxation, right? Make sure you're doing that. You want to set aside some time to do this, and you want to do this when you have as much energy as possible, right? Because that is what sets you up for the maximum possibility of success. Yeah. So can you believe it? We are on day 42 and we're moving right along. All right. So thank you for joining me once again for another episode of our walk to consistency. We are day number 42. And I want to remind you that consistency is your superpower. It is the key to so much that we do. It is the place where we have tremendous impact on how our lives go when it comes to so many domains, but particularly when we talk about health. Okay, so in this space, we continue to work, continue to learn, we're continuing to walk, Like I said, day number 42. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you. Remember, we will see you on our walk for day number 43, my 100-day walk to consistency. We'll see you later.